Hola a todos en la comunidad de Disruptivo, soy Juan del Cerro. Estoy aquí el día de hoy con Mike Larhette, el presidente de MassChallenge México, una convocatoria de la cual ustedes van a estar escuchando mucho en los próximos días. La entrevista va a ser en inglés. Mike nos acompaña desde Boston. Estamos aquí en el Impact Hub, que nos prestó el espacio, y muy emocionados porque hoy se trata justamente el MassChallenge México. Mike, thank you very much for being with us in Disruptivo. Thank you very much for giving. You have a very busy day today because you're launching MassChallenge México, but we're very, very glad that you can be with us. Mike, we love to start from the beginning in Disruptivo. Can you tell us, please, what is the MassChallenge?
You bet. Well, we're very excited to be here in Mexico. We are launching MassChallenge Mexico this evening. And MassChallenge is the world's most startup-friendly accelerator. And what we are is a accelerator and competition that offers access and resources and value to any startup from any industry, from any part of the world, with no strings attached. So you can apply to MassChallenge. There's very little cost of entry, a small application fee. In most cases, they waive it. But it's the ability to come and spend 4 months in an accelerator, such as the one we're launching here in Mexico, in Boston, London, Geneva, and in Israel.
Wow.
So we have 5 programs running around the world, but at our core, we are an accelerator and a competition that gives out over $3 million US in non-dilutive grants, which means these are grants. You can use the money as however you wish. And that's the competitive aspect of our program. So we're an accelerator and competition that doesn't ask for anything from the entrepreneur.
Okay. And we're going to talk about a lot of the details of the contest and why Mexico, and we're going to explain all that hopefully in this short interview. But I want to start with something very basic so that the people that are looking at this video can understand. What kind of entrepreneurs are you guys looking for? Yeah. Any kind of entrepreneur, specific in one subject? What is it exactly?
So we're open to any entrepreneur in any industry. I will tell you that the stage of idea that is typically what we accelerate in MassChallenge. We define early stage entrepreneur or an early stage startup as a startup that has raised less than $500,000 US dollars and has less than $1 million in revenue. So in some countries that's a lot of money. That's a very high threshold. In the US and other programs around the world, it's relatively a low threshold. So when we think about the types of entrepreneurs that we do target any industry. Some of our most successful startups have been social impact startups, or ideas that are attacking a very common problem, whether it's poverty or health or cleanliness of urban areas and sanitation. And so there are great stories of startups that start with an idea that attacks a social problem and accelerates through MassChallenge. So we don't necessarily look for a particular industry or focus area, but we do tend to focus on earlier stage startups.
Which is awesome, because I know that most of the people that looks and follows Disruptivo are starting and have great ideas and haven't really gotten to that point where they can fully think of themselves as successful entrepreneurs. They're starting, they're making it, and all of the tools and all of these platforms are awesome and are great. Can you tell us, so we learn a little bit more, what have been the winners of past contest or the finalists, so we can understand what kind of projects have you guys supported?
Sure. I think because of this particular interview today, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the social impact startups, because we have some great startups that have accelerated in life sciences or high tech or wearable devices. But there are a couple of great examples that have come out recently. One in particular last year out of Mexico. So we had a group called Estronon based in Guadalajara, and Jose Ruiz is the founder, and he entered the competition last year. He became one of our 128 startups that accelerated in Boston, one of 2 startups from Mexico, and he ended up being one of our $100,000 winners. So we gave out $400,000 prizes, and Jose and his company won one of the $100,000 prizes. And what Estronon does is they solve for the secondary clothing market here in Mexico. And so what is very common in the US, he's a pioneer in the market here. And so he's taking good quality brand clothing and finding good sources for that, and finding a way to give access to lower income families or people to be able to access that same kind of clothing. So it's a great solution. He's scaling, he's expanding, and we think we helped him really accelerate his business by attending MassChallenge.
I love the example of Estrenon, first because obviously it's Mexican, and second because I love these projects, and we in Disruptivo love these projects where it's not really that they invented a new way to get to the moon. It's not like this huge, crazy thing that sometimes a lot of the entrepreneurs are frustrated because they feel that they don't have the next huge innovation.
Yeah.
Most of the times it's very simple things that simply don't exist or simply don't happen already, and connecting people and connecting existing resources to the people that need them. And I love Estrenon because it's a great example for that, which I think it's also a very big opportunity for people to think not only of huge innovations or sort of like large technological solutions, but also simple things of connecting people willing to do something with people that need something and the resources that already exist.
I think that's a fantastic observation. I think that what we see are some of the best ideas are solutions to very common problems. And if you get an entrepreneur with passion and an idea attacking a very common problem, and those common problems are related to infrastructure, whether it's transportation or cleanliness. I think we have a great entrepreneur that was attacking the problem of clean water in Bangladesh. And he was a winner of a previous year at MassChallenge, and he saw a real problem about getting clean water to remote villages in Bangladesh. And not only did he create a technical solution to purifying that water, but he actually enabled that solution to be an entrepreneurial program. So he wasn't going in and selling his solution; he was going in and building cohorts and entrepreneurs who could use the backs of their bikes and load up bottles of clean water and sell them for $1 a bottle. And so he was creating entrepreneurship not only with his high-tech solution for clean water, but really enabling an entrepreneurial ecosystem based on that model. And that's a very common, clean water. You can't get more simple.
It's incredible. It's incredible because you also empower other people to create change, and that's a way to scale and solve solutions from the core. Not only impact a few people, which is also good, but also to try and find global solutions.
Right.
Mike, I have a doubt, something I'm very curious, because you guys, and I want to be very clear about this, because you already have acceleration programs, you said, in the United States, in Switzerland, in Israel, was it?
In Israel.
In Israel, in different countries, and they are global, so anybody can apply to those programs. Anybody can, a guy from Mexico can apply to the program in Israel or to the one in Switzerland, etc. So if you already have that, and people from Mexico and Latin America can already apply to those programs, why then open a MassChallenge office here in Mexico?
So one of the things that we saw in 2013, we had 4 startups apply to MassChallenge from Mexico.
Okay.
And none of them got in. In 2014, we had 35 startups apply.
Wow.
And 6 of them got in, and 2 of them became winners. That is a very solid ratio if you look at the other regions of the globe. And then in 2014, we had 46 startups apply from Mexico, 2 got in, and then 1 of them became a $100,000 winner. So if you add up those numbers, what it told us is that there are a lot of high quality startups here in Mexico. So better than any other, outside of Boston, it was a higher concentration of success and quality than any other region.
Wow,
in the
that's
world.
amazing.
So that set us, and me in particular, on a course of investigation from about 14 months ago. And I've been here in Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico City, investigating, can a MassChallenge program thrive here? Because it really requires the community to support it, whether it's investors or corporations, a strong community of mentors, other resources and access that for folks listening to this who are very early stage, who just need simple tools on how to navigate starting, launching, and scaling up a business. So that's one reason. And I think that what we also realized is that Mexico, to some degree for us, represents a little bit of the best kept secret in the in the world of entrepreneurship. And we think we're ahead of the curve, and we think the rest of the world is going to find out just how valuable entrepreneurship in Mexico is, particularly for the conditions and the university's support. And we believe we're making a very strong and very qualified bet on Mexico and the kinds of rewards that it's going to provide for us at MassChallenge and the rest of the world in 3 years. So
of course.
So as a U.S. consumer, I'll often look at things, and you can see on whether it's on textiles or housewares, you see the tagline "Made in Mexico," or that many top brands like Tesla Motors are assembling their cars in Mexico. So what I'd like to understand, and what I believe is that we can move from a world that says "Made in Mexico" to "Made by Mexico."
That's amazing. I love that. That's amazing. I love that line. It gave me chills. And I agree with you that we are we have a great entrepreneurial ecosystem. Obviously, it needs a lot more, it needs to grow, but it's integrating the government, it's integrating international institutions like MassChallenge or Social Lab or different organisms. Universities are joining in, but still we are a little bit of a secret to the countries. There was just I don't remember where, but there was just an article that said, is Mexico the next Silicon Valley? Or is Guadalajara the next Silicon Valley? And I love the response that got, because on the one side it said, yes, there's a lot of entrepreneurship here in the country, but everybody that read it and commented on it said, okay, we're not the next Silicon Valley, we're the next Mexico, we're the next Guadalajara. So, I agree with you that we are kept secret and we are gonna start showing off to the world, but with our own special sauce, with our own special sort of identity, and I think that's very, very interesting. Going back to the challenge per se, tell us what is the secret sauce of MassChallenge, because there's a lot of entrepreneurial contests out there. There's different accelerator programs, but you guys are global. You guys are big. You guys are known in all the world. You guys have a very interesting proposition. What is it that separates you guys from other contests? Because I just read an article about should entrepreneurs apply to contests, because every week you learn about something new, especially in Disruptivo, by the way.
Sure.
But and it comes to a point where the entrepreneur has to say, okay, sorry, I can't apply to one more contest. But MassChallenge may be that one contest you should leave other things to apply to. Why is that?
So I think there are a couple of things that are the core elements of our model, and we recently went through a rebranding. So we've chosen that tagline that we are the startup friendliest, and that's for a reason, that we exist purely for the startup. And a lot of other accelerators, and a lot of great ones out there, often are built for the return for the investors, or the affiliation with a corporate partner, or specific regional goals around keeping you in their region once they accelerate you there. So, and we have a lot of friends, and we collaborate with every other accelerator out there. But what we think we've built is a platform of access, global access, to an entrepreneur that can not only apply and get in and get access through MassChallenge, but once you're in the MassChallenge network, and once you're an alum, you never leave the network. And so I consistently provide resources to our alumni, and we don't ask for anything in return. So you literally don't have to give us any money, and we give you all of these resources. And so we think that's our number one biggest differentiator. We also think that because of our global scale and because of our expansion plans, that we are going to start to give access to an entrepreneur that gets affiliated with MassChallenge to almost a cloud-based entrepreneurship, right? It's less about the real estate of our locations and more about the access we're giving you. If you're creating a wearable device in Mexico, and we know of someone doing the same thing in Switzerland or in Israel or the UK, we're going to connect you.
That's amazing.
And so I think that's another, other than not taking equity, where we have this global access that's unparalleled.
I think that's a very key thing, because a lot of these, especially social entrepreneurs, need to be in the communities where they want to impact, right? So they need to be close to the people that they want to work with, and it's hard to do that if you have to move to Boston or if you have to move to Switzerland. So I think it's great that possibility of, like you said, I love the term clouding entrepreneurship. Mike, we have not so much time, so I wanted to just ask you a very last few things very specifically about the MassChallenge.
Sure.
What would be, if I could ask you 2 or 3 things very specific that you could recommend to the people applying to the MassChallenge? What are you guys looking for? Yeah. What should they really look after? What should they put in their application?
You bet. So we are, as I mentioned, we're launching our program this evening. So MassChallenge Mexico applications are officially open as of today. So for those who are thinking about applying, a couple things to keep in mind. The application is fairly simple and fairly straightforward, meaning we're not asking you to fill out 15, 20 pages of a business plan. So there's a set of 10 questions. And there are a couple of questions that I think are more important than others. And we define, or we measure high potential for high impact. And so as an entrepreneur, as you're thinking about MassChallenge, we let you define both of those things. Because again, high impact or high potential in a life sciences market might be different than social impact. So find that big problem, talk to us, and fill out the application about the thinking big and the big problem you're going to solve. We are not an accelerator that's necessarily built for the next burrito stand on the corner.
Yeah.
We're not, there are other programs for
exactly.
that. So what we're looking for are world-changing ideas and a realistic plan to get there. And that's what we mean by high potential. Okay. So you have to demonstrate in your application that you have some level of traction. Either you've got experience in that domain, you have key connections or key advisors, maybe you've made some revenue on your idea, or you have certain prototypes, or you've somehow market tested your idea, and that you are showing us that you have high potential. And maybe, and again, it might show up as funding or other ideas, but it can't just be a business plan. And I hope that I get in that can accelerate. You have to show some traction.
Awesome. Which is, I think it's true, and it's a very good fit for a lot of the entrepreneurs that already are passionate about something big. They want to change something, especially social entrepreneurs. They already have something they're passionate about, and if they started doing something already, they have knowledge on the subject. I think that's a very good fit. Thank you very much, Mike. The applications opens today, which means May 19th, which is obviously not the same day that we're going to upload the video. The video is going to be uploaded probably a week from today, and it's open until.
So by the time this video airs, you'll have about a month left to respond.
Okay.
So I believe it's around the third week in June that we close applications. It'll be clear on our website.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Where exactly? That was going to be my next question. Where can we find MassChallenge? Where can we apply?
So you can apply online at masschallenge.org, and there should be clear links to go to Mexico and apply to the Mexico program.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mike. We're going to post here all the social networks, all the places you can follow MassChallenge, follow Mike as well, and keep the conversation going, obviously, and apply to one of the largest global entrepreneurship programs. Thank you very much, Mike, and I wish you all the success with today's lunch.
Thank you, Juan. I appreciate it, and thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you.
Muchas gracias a toda la comunidad de Disruptivo. Nosotros seguimos aquí conectados. Apliquen al MassChallenge. Y bueno, nos estamos viendo acá en Disruptivo TV.